morning and welcome, Patriot News Hour. Joe and Jason, happy Wednesday. I hope it finds you well out there. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. It is Wednesday. We will spend a little bit of time talking about what's going on with Texacoin. We are in the midst of the cease and desist trial. I don't know if you've been watching. We'll just say this. We are very, very, and as expected, we are very pleased with how this case is going. Under oath yesterday, the lead investigator for the TSSB admitted under oath that the state of Texas knew that there was no fraud committed by Bobby or Texacoin before they filed the cease and desist. Now, obviously, hey, that's great news, but we knew that already. It'll all still come down, and we said this all along, right? Is it a security? Is it not a security? That's what this will be. It's kind of, I don't know if it's ironic, the SEC yesterday, you can't make this stuff up, issued guidance that said, hey, if you can now raise $75 million a year for your crypto projects. You don't have to register with the SEC. You don't have to register with any state. And, of course, one of the arguments from the state of Texas is, and you'll hear this over and over, well, it's not registered. Texacoin's not registered to do business in the state of Texas. Well, you know, the interesting part of that is neither is Bitcoin, right? It's a blockchain, right? It's not a human being, but apparently the SEC yesterday agreed that, hey, you know what? This is how we're going to handle things. I don't know that it's going to change a whole lot with this case. I don't think it's going to matter a great deal. But it is another thing that goes to the point I've been trying to make during this very tough time. You know, one of the things I had said to all of you is, listen, I don't know how it'll work out. I feel pretty good about it. I felt really good about it. I'll be honest, I did. But the one thing I knew for a fact was it wasn't a scam. It wasn't a fraud. Bobby's not running off with the money. And yesterday, if you were paying attention or watching, the state of Texas agreed. But they filed it anyway, right? Which, you know, you see that a lot. Well, we'll throw all kinds of charges and then we'll dismiss, you know, we'll make a deal, right? We'll make a deal type of a thing. So in any event, I will do this. I'll get a machine and I'll hold it up for you guys to see because I brought it to the meeting on Monday. The utility for TXE is coming. And I'll say it again. I think we're going to win in Texas. Can't guarantee that. But if you've been paying attention at all, that's what it looks like. And the utility now is getting ready to begin. And I think with one of the advantages of, you know, because we're a low liquidity coin. right? We know this. We trade, $100,000 a day. A big day maybe does 250. A bad day, maybe we only do 50. Doesn't take a lot of liquidity to get the price to move. I think we're going to see a lot of that potentially. It could be pretty volatile. We can see some jumps up, some jumps down. That's why I'm encouraging all of you to make sure that you're, Biconomy is a U.S.-friendly exchange. And that's right now. Here's the great part. When Bitmart, is going out of business, Biconomy now has the most volume of any exchange for TXC. I hope you guys are getting on it. Be ready. You may want to buy some. You may want to sell some. Also be ready. You may want to buy some gold, some silver, if the price does what I think it's going to do. We'll be making those opportunities available to you. I will tell you one more time. The Iskander mine, big. Matter of fact, on the 21st, I think that's Saturday, or is that Friday? Friday. In Manila, there's already 300 people confirmed as we start this global expansion here. Seats are $9.95. Remember, you can buy one, get one, and there is no limit. You can buy, if you want to buy one seat and get a seat free, great. You want to buy 9, get 9 free, great. If you want to take a shot, listen, still a risk because it's crypto. But I think we're getting ready for some good news. We had a lot of bad news, right? We had good news, then we had bad news, maybe some good news again. But listen, guys, we got a big move in the market today. We'll talk about that when we return. Stay tuned. 800-951-0592. I will say this because we got to get to this stuff. Tune into tomorrow's call. Tomorrow's a call for anybody that's a Texacoin miner. The trial, I think, will have ended. So I think that is the case. The trial will have ended. We won't have a decision, but the trial will be over. So he's going to have a lot of announcements. But let's take a quick look at the market. The Dow was up 300 points. The S&P's up 40. The Nasdaq's up 100. The 10-year note is down to 4.65. Interesting. I wonder why that is. Well, I'm going to tell you. Oil, higher, right? We're now at 86 and 92. Diesel and jet fuel, look out, right? Look out. It's going to, I think, get worse before it gets better. Let's just get right to gold. Gold's up 150. Yeah, that was, maybe 160. 44.85, so almost $4,500. Silver's up $2.50, approaching $66. So yesterday I told you, hey, I'm going to send all those 1994s back to the wholesaler. Then my wife's like, hey, just so you know, we only got 10 rolls left. So, great. $1,500, 10 rolls left. Get them.
Silver's up $2.30 right now.
Yeah, well, get them. Okay. Why is this happening? What the heck happened? It's time now to start talking about $5,000 gold, by the way. So the last few days, I have been telling you, we've got a problem in the Treasury market. Now, you're like, well, I'm not seeing it on TV. They're not, freaking out. And, the Dow's not down 10,000. Okay, let me tell you again. We have a problem. The only thing that kept it from getting really bad the other day was how bad the economic data was that day. Remember? And I was telling you, oh my gosh, existing home sales and home permits were so bad, really saved from really bad damage being done. And remember what was, I think it was last week, when the July deficits numbers came out. And I told you the Treasury's like, okay, we got to increase the size of the auctions. And in the same breath, they admitted, man, we're having problems selling long-dated Treasuries. And we may have to reduce those, which just means we got to sell even more short-term debt. Well, this morning, a very, very, I think, smart, I'm going to say this first of all, smart, something that I told you this was going to happen. Matter of fact, I told you 6 months ago, and I've never wavered. We will start quantitative easing again before the year is over. Why? Because I'm a genius? Because Scott Pacent is Kevin Wars called me on the phone? No. It's just math. It's called math. Right? Let's see. The amount of people wanting to buy long-dated U.S. Treasuries keeps falling. The amount of long-dated U.S. Treasuries we've got to issue keeps rising, right? It doesn't take a genius. Well, apparently, it didn't take a genius. The Treasury now saying that they are going to increase the amount of buybacks they're doing every month. Now, this is like the third increase. Because when they first announced this, now again, I got to say this. Technically, we can't call it quantitative easing. Why? Well, because they said you can't. Hey, whatever this is, it's not quantitative. Now remember, quantitative easing, the Federal Reserve was buying them. So the Treasury says you can't call this quantitative easing. Now when they first came out with this plan, which was at the end of last year, hey, we're going to buy a couple $2 billion a week. Okay? You know, just a little bit. Just a little bit. My guess is they were all long dated, right? That'd be my guess. I don't know, but that'd be my guess. Well, without really telling anybody, they bumped that up to $15 billion. Okay? That's a lot of money, but okay, it's only look at me. It's only $15 billion. Well, it is now $30 billion. And the treasuries are focusing in on longer dated maturities to be doing all of this buying. As Scott Pacent resolved the debate with 30-year yields at 20-year highs, saying that they will be increasing by at least double. So that's the 30. Now, the problem is they leave that open that they could do more. Of course, they always could, right? I mean, they don't have to stick to anything they say. They're saying that the liquidity support buyback operations for longer dated nominal security coupon securities, the 10 to 20 year and the 20 year to 30 year sector. They also said they can now buy up to $4 billion in each operation. Well, what's an operation? An auction. So as an example, the 30-year auction that, remember I told you, was pathetic, was a $25 billion auction. Essentially today, the Treasury said, right, well, we can almost buy like 20% of that, right? We'll make it a little easier. This will go into effect on September the 9th. And will remain in effect until further notice. It will provide more information about future buyback sizes at the next quarterly refunding. Uh-oh. When is that? That's November 4th, 2026. So what does that mean? The Treasury announced today, okay, we're going to be out of money again in November. And when we announce that, we are going to announce what we're going to do next. So for right now, they've agreed for 6 weeks or so, hey, we're going to buy $30 billion a month, so about $45 billion of longer-dated treasuries. And then we're going to let you know what's going to happen after that. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Ready? They're going to buy even more. But you didn't hear that from me. The reason why the Treasury's desire to provide greater liquidity support in the long-dated nominal sectors where there is consistent, strong sponsorship from markets participants, as evidenced by the significant volume of high-quality offers. Wait, what? Wait a minute. We need to provide greater liquidity, but don't worry, because we're still getting really strong sponsorship from market participants, and we're getting significant volume of what they're calling high-quality offers. Obviously, guys, that's not true. I mean, they can say it. Right? Now, and again, do they have to say it? Yeah, I think they do. Right? They have to say it even though the action says the exact opposite. Here's what happened. And I don't want to, you know what? I do want to. I'm going to give myself a self-high five. Right there. Self-high five to me. 2 days ago, I told you there was a big problem. Like, the Treasury market avoided a disaster. Today, Scott Bessent verified what I thought happened. You know, did he panic? I wouldn't call this a panic. I would just call this like you had no choice. And again, part of the problem is, why did they wait so long? But the Treasury is now looking like, and we've been, you know, and I've been warning you that there's big trouble in the bond market. And it's not just ours. There's big trouble in Japan. There's big trouble in the UK. There's big trouble in Europe. Listen, guys, there's big trouble everywhere. Everyone's got the same problem. Right? Our problem continues to get worse. And what is their answer? Look at the answer we just got. Well, we'll just buy more of it ourselves. Right? I didn't see anything about, hey, let's come up with a plan to reduce the deficit. I don't know. Right? Call me crazy. And they know, Joe, we can't do that. We want to. We would love to. But we can't. Why? Well, because the stock market will crash. The economy will crash. We've got to issue all of this debt because we have no choice. We lied when we said that we had all these different tools in the toolbox. Guys, they don't have any different tools. Let me ask you, what's the difference between the Treasury buying it or the Federal Reserve buying it? There is no difference.
The Fed controls the Treasury.
Right.
They actually physically own it. The bankruptcy in 1933 gave it to the Fed and the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank.
I want to make this perfectly clear to Jason's comment. It's not the other way around. I know the American public probably wants to believe the Treasury controls the Fed. It doesn't. It doesn't. It's the other way around. And they're just playing a game. They're trying to once again. How stupid are you guys? How stupid is the American public? Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back.
Yes, ma'am, back.
800-951-0592. Jason is holding up. So here's what's funny. Jason has one in Colorado. I have the exact same thing on my wall here in Phoenix. And Jason, just tell everybody what you have there.
It's Executive Order 6102, FDR signed to confiscate gold. But when Joe's talking about the Fed and the Treasury and who's, the Fed owns it. The receivers of the United States bankruptcy, which is what this thing is that I'm holding up, Executive Order 6102, where they confiscated gold. It was a bankruptcy. Are the international bankers via the United Nations, the Federal Reserve, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund. The United States offices, officials, and departments are now operating in a de facto status only and name only under the emergency war powers. With the constitutional Republican form of government now dissolved, what you have is a new form of government, which is now to be known as a democracy, which is a socialist/communist order. And this is the part that because of what Joe was talking about today, the office of the Secretary of the Treasury is to that governor of the International Monetary Fund, and it has the law here, Public Law 94-564, page 8, section HR 13955, reads in part. This is the only sentence you need to know. The U.S. Secretary of the Treasury, that's Besant, receives no compensation for representing the United States of America. He represents the corporate United States of America. And that's the way it works. The Federal Reserve runs this country financially because it received a bankruptcy. Now, if the United States ever decided to pay its bankruptcy off, pull itself out, which it could do very easily, that whole thing would change, and the freedom of this country would bloom. But we are enslaved. And, Joe, it's funny. We have so many guests kind of get tired of hearing, well, it can't just be the central bank and this group of owners. The Rothschilds own 52 to 57% of the Federal Reserve. That is a European family that own the European banks and essentially a controlling arm of almost every central bank. And it's why I come on the air saying, look, this is all fake and the wars look fake and all this other, because they're putting on a show because they don't want you to learn. Right, Joe? Don't teach your slaves because they might learn and decide, oh, you know what? I think we want this back. But maybe we should have gold back in the money or have something, at least have the Treasury printing it without the interest. Can we just have fiat currency? We talk, people talk fiat currency is horrible. Yeah, it's not good. Well, you know what's worse than fiat currency? It's fiat currency that you borrow into existence and pay interest on. $40 trillion. That's what we have. We pay $1 trillion a year, probably more now, just on the interest on this funny money because it's the Fed, Joe.
It is something where I'll just say that this problem, and let's call it what it is. It's a problem. You got to ask yourself, does it get better? Or does it get worse? Well, how do you make it better? Well, number one, you have to be able to sell the amount of debt you have at a reasonable price, right? And here's what the markets have been telling us for a while. The answer to that is, well, no, that's not happening. How do I know? How am I saying that? Well, the Fed has lowered interest rates, 8 or 9 times, and yet the yields have gone higher. Guys, I'll tell you right now, in the modern history of the central bank, that has never, ever, ever happened. Ever. Why is it happening? Because they can no longer sell the amount of debt they have at a reasonable level. Why is the Treasury Secretary making this announcement today? Because what the market deems as reasonable. I'm going to tell you right now, that 10-year note will be well over 5, probably 6% on a 10-year. 8% on a 30. And that's just today. I'm not talking about what next year and the year after and the year after are. They are telling you, hey, we can't, what the real reasonable price is, we can't do. We can't afford. Because, now, listen, what would happen to the U.S.? That, yeah, it's going to go up, right? It'd probably be $3 trillion, right? It'd probably add somewhere around $500 billion to the deficit immediately, right? Just on a day, every single day, by interest rates going to where they should be. And you're like, well, God, that's bad, but it's not going to be the end of the world. Nope. But guess what it does? It ends the Japanese yen. It ends the British pound. It pretty much is the end of fiat money just about everywhere else. The whole system breaks. That's why we had to act. Remember when we acted with the Japanese? What was that, last week?
Yep.
Right? Are you guys not figuring stuff out yet? So now they've got to play more games, more tricks. But yet, is anybody, tell me, show me where they are going to stop spending. They're not. Matter of fact, the only thing they're doing, Jason, and you know this, Jason, the only legislation currently working the rounds is how to spend more money.
That's the only plan they have. There is no other plan. It's a debt money system. And let's face it, we've been saying this all this year and part of last year, that they're moving into an inflative cycle. That's the way they see that they hold this country together, and essentially all these other countries are doing the same. Debt to GDP is too high, inflate your way out. I mean, Japan's been doing it. How long has Japan been trying to inflate their way out? They just don't have the world reserve currency, so they're like, look, we can't inflate our way out because you won't give us enough dollars to do it because we can, you know what? Right. You hold the responsibility. Japan's pretty smart. They're just saying, look, you, this is you. You do this. You have this power. Look, we inflated as much as we could, and we're still having this. What is their debt to GDP, Joe? It's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, they're well over 230, 240. They're almost to Greek type levels in Japan.
Yeah. So
Radio News Hour.
Print it, right, Joe? Print it.
Yeah, print it. 800-951-0592. The end of, I got some Silver Eagles. They are 1994s. They're probably worth $130 a piece. Got 10 rolls. At least I had 10 rolls. We'll see how many we have left at $1,500. Okay. By the way, that's way below a regular roll of Silver Eagles today. Silver flying with gold. By the way, tomorrow I'll talk about is $90 silver coming. Again, I promised you here it is. Hold it in my hand. For those of you on Rumble, you can see it. The new, what we call Nectar Pay crypto terminals. They are here. Guys, this is real. I want you to see it. I think, and I've thought this, and I know it's been tough, and I know some of you are frustrated, and I get it. You want to take a less of a, you know what, the funny thing, I think it's less of a gamble today. I know it is less of a gamble than when we did this a while back, because I think we're going to win in Texas. And now the utility is coming, but you buy one, get one free on Iskander Mines. I hope you guys take advantage. $9.95. Also, I've got 10 $10 Liberties sitting in my safe right this second. I'm going to let you have them at below cost at $2,175. By the way, $10 Liberty today, now $2,400. Save $225. Get it bought. Congratulations to everybody that was picked up gold and silver last week. Wow. You guys look like geniuses. What did we sell 20s at? $42.95, I think it was. Right? $42.95. Gold's up $158. $44.95 as the Treasury, they just came to the reality that, man, we really don't have any other choice. But we've got to start monetizing our own debt. You know, kind of, right? Jason talked about Japan, right? That's what they're doing, monetizing their debt, right? Because nobody wants it. It's not worth anything. And now they have to buy the long end of the curve. They never fixed the financial crisis. I'm going to tell you this, and I said this from day one. Janet Yellen may have been the frickin' worst central bank president and head of the Treasury in American history. I warned you about that lady. What did she do? We brought interest rates down to essentially right next to zero. 10-year notes weren't even yielding 1%. But a 30-year note was what, maybe, 1.5%. And I sat right on this very show, and I told you, what is this woman doing? And what do I mean by that? All the new debt she was issuing was short-term debt. We should have been selling 10, 20, and 30-year bonds like they were going out of style. Oh, no. You know why they didn't? Because she wanted the low end of the bond curve to fall so you could get a mortgage at 4% or less. She decided that was more important. Fast forward 10 years later, and we are effed right here. All as we can do now is sell short-term debt. That's it. We can't sell any other kind. Are you not understanding what that means? What is the ramifications of that? I want you to think about $40 trillion. Hey, if you only had to roll over 9 or 10 trillion of it, all right, that's not great. It's not horrible, right? It could be worse. Hey, we got to roll over 9 or 10 trillion, plus we got to add 2 or 3 trillion more to the debt we already have. But because of her actions, and now Scott Bessent essentially doing the exact same thing, of course, there's no choice now. Now imagine, now we got to roll over 15 trillion, 20 trillion, 30 trillion. See where I'm going? Now you tell me how long you think these rates can stay this low when we are going to be rolling over gargantuan, monumental amounts of debt. And just think about what it does to the interest payments. Well, gosh, in 3 years, we got to roll over twice as much debt. Right? We're already spending over $1 trillion a year in interest. It's going to be $2 trillion before you even know it. Better figure out a way, guys. 800-951-0592. Final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. So I had 10 rolls. I don't know why I have to work this hard. 10 rolls of Silver Eagles 1994s at $1,500. Or you can buy a regular roll of Silver Eagles for $1,525. How's that? I'll let you decide. If you want to pay more, you can. $10 Liberties. This is the stupid price of the day, $21.75. We're selling these below cost at 800-951-0592. I only got 10 of those, so it's not like I got a ton of stuff. 800-951-0592. Take the time. Add to your portfolios. If you want to take a shot with me on Iskander, buy one, get one free. $9.95. You get 2 seats instead of 1. No limit. 800-951-0592. And Jason, again, this was maybe what was unexpected was I think they really wanted to get to November at this refinancing before making this announcement. In other words, they were hoping the bond market could hold it together long enough, and it just didn't happen, right? I think for a lot of people that actually understand what is happening right now, this is the thing we worry the most about. Listen, I don't want people to I don't want this to happen. And I will guarantee you this. It's not going to break here first. It's not. I mean, is it going to be Japan first? Is it going to be the UK? Is it going to be, I don't know, some other country that they haven't talked about? I don't know those answers. The problem is, just go back to banks. Oh, these too big to fail banks, right? Oh, how terrible it is. Guys, we're not talking about banks. We're talking about countries. The size of their debt makes any single bank look like child's play. The ramifications of this are enormous. So far, the only plan we see, let's create more debt. Right? How can we sit there and create more debt? I mean, Jason, that's literally it. That is their plan. And now, well, they got 2 plans. Let's create more debt, and then let's just monetize the debt. And by the Treasury using money, now this is money they're supposed to be using to pay our bills, to provide liquidity into these markets, and then understand what they're doing. They're going to have to hold this for years. Imagine if the rates keep going higher and then they're like, oh, wait, we got to sell some. And the losses they would have to take on it. This is just idiotic stuff happening here. 800-951-0592.